In this video we are going to talk about 10 dividend stocks Warren Buffett owns. So before starting this video, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. Number 10. The Coca-Cola Company, NYSE, KO. The Coca-Cola Company, NYSE, KO, is a non-alcoholic beverage manufacturer and distributor. Berkshire Hathaway had 400 million shares in the company worth $20.9 billion at the end of the third quarter of 2021, accounting for 7.15% of the portfolio. The Coca-Cola Company, NYSE, KO, is rated overweight by Morgan Stanley analyst Dara Mohsenian, with a price objective of $65. The analyst wrote in a recent investment note that the $5.6 billion purchase of sports drink firm Body Armor made strategic sense for the company. Berkshire Hathaway, a Nebraska-based hedge fund, is a major shareholder in the Coca-Cola Company, NYSE, KO, with 400 million shares worth more than $21 billion, according to Insider Monkey. The Coca-Cola Company, NYSE, KO, like Johnson & Johnson, NYSE, J&J, STOR Capital Corporation, NYSE, STOR, and Bristol-Myers Squibb Company, NYSE, BMY, is a stock on the radar of elite investors. Number 9. The Kraft Heinz Company, NASDAQ, KHC. The Kraft Heinz Company, NASDAQ, KHC, is a food company that sells packaged goods and meat. The stock has risen sharply in recent weeks as the company's pricing strength allows it to counteract inflationary pressures. In addition, Kraft Heinz recently outperformed market expectations for profits per share and revenue in the third quarter, raising full-year projections. At the end of September 2021, Berkshire Hathaway had 325 million shares in the Kraft Heinz Company, NASDAQ, KHC, worth $11.9 billion, accounting for 4.08% of the portfolio. Berkshire Hathaway, a Nebraska-based investment business, is a major shareholder in the Kraft Heinz Company, NASDAQ, KHC, with 325 million shares worth more than $13 billion, according to Insider Monkey. Berkshire Hathaway highlighted a few equities in its Q4 2020 investor letter, one of which was the Kraft Heinz Company, NASDAQ, KHC. Number 8. Verizon Communications Inc., NYSE, VZ. Verizon Communications Inc., NYSE, VZ, is a New York-based integrated telecommunications business. According to public reports, Berkshire Hathaway had 158 million shares in the company worth $8.5 billion at the end of the third quarter of 2021, accounting for 2.92% of the portfolio. The price target for Verizon Communications Inc., NYSE, VZ, stock was recently lifted to $71 from $68 by Cowen analyst Colby Synesael, who maintained an outperform rating on the stock, stating that the stock was significantly undervalued in light of excellent earnings. In the second quarter of 2021, 63 hedge funds in Insider Monkey's database held holdings in Verizon Communications Inc., NYSE, VZ, worth $10.9 billion, down from 69 in the previous quarter worth $11.3 billion. Number 7. US Bancorp, NYSE, USB. The financial services holding company US Bancorp, NYSE, USB, is based in New York City. It recently announced the acquisition of TravelBank as part of a drive to increase investments in the bank's digital ecosystem. TravelBank is a fintech firm that offers all-in-one travel and expenditure management services. According to the most recent statistics, Berkshire Hathaway had 126 million shares in US Bancorp, NYSE, USB, worth $7.5 billion at the end of September 2021, accounting for over 2.56% of the fund's portfolio. In the second quarter of 2021, 41 hedge funds in Insider Monkey's database held holdings in US Bancorp, NYSE, USB, worth $8.30 billion, down from 43 the previous quarter worth $8.33 billion. Mares & Power, an asset management firm, featured a few stocks in its Q4 2020 investor letter, one of which was US Bancorp, NYSE, USB. Here's what the fund had to say. On the negative side, US Bancorp was one of the fund's greatest detractor in 2020. USB. The challenging interest rate environment and credit cycle worries impacted U.S. Bank, as they did all banks. Banks, we feel, are strong enough to weather the current sector downturn, and they continue to be some of the market's most appealing investments. Number 6. The Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, NYSE, BK. The Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, NYSE, BK, is a financial institution that specializes in asset management and custodial banking. According to regulatory reports, Berkshire Hathaway had 72 million shares in the company valued over $3.7 billion at the end of the third quarter of 2021, accounting for 1.27% of the portfolio. Citi maintained a buy recommendation on the Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, NYSE, BK, shares on October 22, raising the price target to $70 from $60, stating that the company was well positioned for higher rates. In the second quarter of 2021, 52 hedge funds in Insider Monkey's database held holdings in the Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, NYSE, BK, worth $4.9 billion, up from 49 in the previous quarter worth $4.7 billion. Hedge funds are purchasing the Bank of New York Mellon Corporation, NYSE, BK, in addition to Johnson & Johnson, NYSE, J&J, STOR Capital Corporation, NYSE, STOR, and Bristol-Myers Squibb Company, NYSE, BMY. Number 5. Chevron Corporation, NYSE, CVX. Chevron Corporation, NYSE, CVX, is a California-based integrated oil and gas company. It just spent $47 million bidding on oil leases in the U.S. Gulf of Mexico at a federal auction. The oil company was the biggest spender at the auction, which included other energy behemoths like Exxon. According to officials, the exercise raised $192 million. According to recent securities filings, Berkshire Hathaway had 28 million shares of Chevron Corporation, NYSE, CVX, worth $2.9 billion at the end of the third quarter of 2021. Insider Monkey's database showed 50 hedge funds with $4.2 billion in Chevron Corporation, NYSE, CVX, positions at the end of the second quarter of 2021, up from 41 hedge funds with $4.8 billion at the end of the previous quarter. Chevron Corporation, NYSE, CVX, was one of the stocks mentioned in ClearBridge Investments' Q1 2021 investor letter. Number 4. AbbVie Inc., NYSE, AbbVie. AbbVie Inc., NYSE, AbbVie, is a pharmaceutical company that develops and markets medicinal products. At the end of September 2021, Berkshire Hathaway had 14 million shares in the company, valued at $1.5 billion, or 0.52% of the fund's total portfolio. The stock of AbbVie Inc., NYSE, AbbVie, gets an overweight rating from Morgan Stanley analyst David Risinger, who has a price objective of $124 on the stock. In an investment note written in early November, the analyst expressed his delight with the pharmaceutical company's good quarterly performance. At the end of the second quarter of 2021, 82 hedge funds in Insider Monkey's database held interests in AbbVie Inc., NYSE, AbbVie, an increase from 72 hedge funds in the prior quarter holding stakes worth $5.9 billion at the end of the previous quarter. Number 3. Bristol-Myers Squibb Company, NYSE, BMY. Bristol-Myers Squibb Firm, NYSE, BMY, is a pharmaceutical company headquartered in New York City. In late October, the company reported earnings for the third quarter, posting earnings per share of $2, above expectations by 8 cents per share. The company generated $11.6 billion in revenue during the quarter, exceeding projections by $100 million. BMY NYSE, BMY, was the stock of choice for Warren Buffett's hedge fund at the end of the third quarter of 2021, accounting for 0.44% of the firm's total holdings and valued at more than $1.3 billion. Bristol-Myers Squibb Company, NYSE, BMY, had 73 hedge funds with $4.5 billion in interests at the end of the second quarter of 2021, down from 81 hedge funds with $5.7 billion in stakes at the end of the prior quarter, according to Insider Monkey's database. Wedgwood Partners, an asset management business, highlighted a few stocks in its Q4 2020 investor letter, with Bristol-Myers Squibb Company, NYSE, BMY, being one of them. Number 2. STOR Capital Corporation, NYSE, STOR. STOR Capital Corporation, NYSE, STOR, is a real estate investment trust that invests in and manages single-tenant commercial buildings in the United States. In addition to having a strong dividend history, the company recently declared a quarterly dividend of $0.385 per share, which represents a 7% increase over the previous dividend of $0.360. As of the end of September 2021, Berkshire Hathaway had 24 million shares in STOR Capital Corporation, NYSE, STOR, which was worth $782 million, according to regulatory filings. At the end of the second quarter of 2021, 13 hedge funds in Insider Monkey's database held interests in STOR Capital Corporation, NYSE. STOR, worth $899 million, which was the same number of funds that held stakes in the company the previous quarter, which were worth $886 million. Number 1. Johnson & Johnson, NYSE, J&J. Johnson & Johnson, NYSE, J&J, is a global healthcare company that manufactures and distributes a variety of healthcare goods. According to the most recent available data, Berkshire Hathaway owned 327,100 shares of the company at the end of the third quarter of 2021, with a market value of $52 million. J&J, NYSE, J&J, stock has taken a knock in recent days as a result of a recent announcement by competitor Pfizer, which has produced an experimental version of the COVID-19 pill, that it will be allowing licensed generic medicine manufacturers to produce lower-cost versions of the product. Johnson & Johnson, NYSE, J&J, was the target of 88 hedge funds in Insider Monkey's database at the end of the second quarter of 2021, an increase from 81 hedge funds in the previous quarter, with a holding worth $6.9 billion at the end of the first quarter of 2021. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear from me again, be sure to hit that subscribe button before you go. Thanks for watching.